Hi, it's John. Welcome to my channel EV Intuition, where I'm helping you understand about electric vehicles. Well, my Tesla Model Y hit over 34,200 miles, and I've been checking the tires and realized that the back treads were getting very low. So I decided it was time to get new tires, and this was my first time buying a set of tires for my electric vehicle. With my previous electric vehicle, the Ford Mach-E, I sold it after 2 years and 30,000 miles, and it still had some tread left on it, so it was good, so I never changed the tires. Now with my Tesla Model Y being now over 26 months and over 34,000 miles, it was time to change the tires on it. And so in this video today, I want to share with you my process of deciding what tires to buy, where to get them, and what I ended up doing. So let's get started. Before I begin, I want to remind you that if you like the content of my channel, please subscribe and send me any comments you may have. Also give me a like. So today I'm talking about my process in selection of new tires for my Tesla Model Y. This is my first time purchasing new tires for my Tesla and for any EV for that matter. So in going through that process, the first thing you have to decide is what type of tires you're going to get. Now, tires essentially come in 4 different categories today. You can buy all season, you can buy summer tires, you can buy winter tires, and you can buy performance tires. Now, I've been using all season tires for the last many years, and I've had pretty good success with that. All my vehicles have been pretty much 4-wheel drive. So all seasons with 4-wheel drive handles the winters in upstate New York fine for me. So that was my first decision. I'm going to go with all season tires. I don't like the bother of changing tires halfway through the year, putting on winter tires, etc. Or the expense of buying performance tires. I don't drive that fast. Anyway, that was my first decision. I'm going to go with all-season tires. Now, the next thing is, well, this is an electric vehicle, and this is my first time buying tires for an electric vehicle. There are tires that are made specifically for electric vehicles. Why is that? So let's look into the reasons why electric vehicle tires are different than regular tires. First of all, what you'll find out is that an EV is heavier in weight than a comparable sized gas vehicle. That's something that the tires are taking on, the extra weight of that vehicle. You got to have tires that handle that additional 500 to 1,000 pounds of weight. The next thing is traction. And when I mean by traction, I mean kind of acceleration from stop. You need a tire that's going to grip the road. As we've discussed in other videos, electric vehicles have this great acceleration. And so they can accelerate from 0 miles an hour pretty quickly. And so you want the tires slipping while you accelerate. Now, I'm not a heavy foot driver, but I do accelerate faster because I can with an electric vehicle and go up to speed fairly quickly. Having that traction is another thing to keep in mind for electric vehicle tires. And another area is rolling resistance. Now, rolling resistance has been a tire factor that's been around for the last couple of decades, but with the advent of EVs, it's become an even important factor to consider. You want a tire that has low rolling resistance, because the lower the rolling resistance, the more efficient your tire is going to be. In other words, from a gas car, less gas it's going to use to go a similar distance. And same thing for EVs. Your car will be much more efficient and give you a greater range. So those are things to keep in mind. Now, there is no standardized rating that cars have to have for rolling resistance yet today. I hope they have them in the future, but as of today, they're not. So you got to rely on testing vehicle information for that. We'll talk a little more about that later. And the fourth area of EV tires that you have to deal with or think about is noise reduction. Noise reduction becomes more important on electric vehicles because you don't have the engine noise. So without the loud engine noise that you have when you're accelerating or moving down the road, what you do have is the tire noise. So you want to ideally have low noise coming from your tires. Electric vehicle tires try to minimize or dampen some of that noise that the tires create as they're going down the road. Those are 4 things to consider in how electric vehicle tires may differ than standard tires. The second decision that I decided to make was I'm going to go with electric tires specifically designed for electric vehicles. I want to get these capabilities to handle the weight and have maybe the lower rolling resistance and dampen the noise and have the proper traction. That was my second decision. So I'm going to go with an all-season tire and one dedicated or design for an electric vehicle. So the next area that you got to look at is, okay, well, where am I going to get the tire from? There's lots of places that sell tires. Now, I've done a fair amount of research in this area, and what I've come to find out is that the warehouse clubs seem to be an attractive place to get new tires. They have usually very good prices at the places, and they have various other pluses thrown into the purchase of a tire. And then, besides that, you can go to Tire Rack. You can buy tires online there and have them installed yourself. So there's Discount Tire, there's Walmart that installs tires. There's just a ton of places that install tires, even local places that install tires. But after my research, what I've decided that was one of the places that I think is really good with tire is Costco. And a fortunate thing for me is I recently joined the Costco club this past year. Now, I've been members of BJ's and Sam's in previous years and for other reasons, buying certain food things. But I became a member of Costco, and one of the thoughts I had at the time was I maybe be able to purchase tires from them. Now, why Costco? I think Costco's got a really attractive set of things that they offer in replacing tires. The first is they have competitive pricing for the tires that you buy. The second thing is they install new valve stems, and that's an important thing. You don't want to always have the old valve stems being used. And the third thing is they have a 5-year road hazard warranty. So if you get a flat while driving the vehicle, then they can solve your problem and fix your flat. So that's a good thing to have. The other thing is free lifetime maintenance. And this is one of the things that I really found attractive because I can get free tire rotation. With my current set of tires, or the one that I'm replacing, through the 34,200 miles, I never rotated the tires. And so the back tires were more worn than the front. And if I had rotated those tires throughout the life of them, I would have got at least a few more thousand miles on that. That's a lesson I learned. And I thought by going with Costco, having free rotation, that'll make it easier, and I'll get the better life out of these set of tires that I'm purchasing from them. And the last one was they fill the tire with nitrogen instead of regular standard air. Now, I don't know how big of a thing this thing is. They tout it as it keeps the tire pressure up and has less chance of losing air. For what it is, it's a plus, and I find Costco as being an attractive place to purchase tires. Given that, I said, well, first of all, one of the options was to buy the same type of tires that I have from Tesla. Now, I have Continental ProContact RX tires, and I did go and get a quote through my phone app, Tesla app, of how much it would cost for Tesla to replace my tires with the same type of tires that they originally came with. And I got that quote right there, and it's just under $1,500, which is a pretty pricey price tag for that replacement. But I kind of knew that going with Tesla, you're kind of paying a premium if I wanted the same tires that I currently have. And I've been satisfied with those tires. I think they've done fairly well, and it lasted a fair amount of time, and they could last longer if I rotated them. So that's all good thing about it, but I wanted that as a comparison. And then I went to the Costco website, and I put in my tire size, which is 255 45 R19s. So I have the 19-inch tires, and I put that in, and it came with a list of tires. Now, they came with a list of tires, some winter tires, some summer tires, etc. And what I was looking for were the all-season tires that were EV dedicated, or created for EVs. And really, they only came up with two options for that, and that was the Bridgestone Turanza EV and the Michelin e.Primacy. Now, with my previous electric vehicle, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, I had Michelin Primacy tires, not e.Primacy, but Primacy tires all seasons on it, and they lasted a pretty long time. I mean, I sold the car at 30,000 miles, and they had a fair amount of tread left on them, so I was pretty satisfied with that. I had a good feeling about Michelin. I hadn't had any experience with Bridgestone, but I said, well, let's look at it. And you can see right now a comparison on the screen of the different specs of it and the pricing based on it. And pretty much the Bridgestone comes out as a tire that had the largest warranty, a 50,000 mile warranty on the tire, whereas the Michelin falls in the middle at 45 and the Continental at 40. They both have the same speed and weight indexes, so that's a wash. Then on a uniform tire quality grade, you see that there is some differences there. The interesting thing is that the Michelin has the highest score of 540 in the treadwear. The higher the number, the better there. And the Bridgestone falling in the middle, and then the Continental. But in the next category of traction, the Michelin has the lower score. It got a B instead of an A, which the other two did. So it means it doesn't handle as good in wet conditions as the other two tires. So that's a trade-off. In the third area that UTQG is temperature, and they were all even there. But you also look at the cost. From a Costco point of view, the Michelin and Bridgestone were pretty much even on the costs. But you could see that the Continental was several $100s more. Now, one of the things that you didn't see in that comparison was anything in regards to rolling resistance. And as I mentioned before, rolling resistance doesn't have a standard measuring spec that manufacturers are required to list. So you have to rely on websites or other people's testing to determine that. And so I tried to do some research there, and I came across a website, toptirereview.com, that had actually compared these three tires in several different categories, and one of them was rolling resistance. And you can see in the chart right here the result of their review, and they showed that the e.Primacy Michelin tire had the best rolling resistance, the lowest rolling resistance, with the ProContact coming in the middle and the Bridgestone appearing as the largest rolling resistance. So that was interesting to note. You've always got to, whenever you come with reviews, always leave some level of suspicion, because it's one data point and one testing. But I also looked at their mileage test from that same thing, and once again, the e.Primacy came in ahead of the other two tires in the amount of mileage. So that was a good thing also from a Michelin e.Primacy point of view. Now, they also mentioned in that article the downside of it. The e.Primacy has a lower score in traction, which means it doesn't handle as well in wet conditions. So what should I do? Well, the bottom line is I decided to lean towards going with the rolling resistance and the total mileage, and go with the e.Primacy. Like I said, I had good experience with the Michelin Primacy tire with my Ford Mach-E, so that was my decision. So I went ahead with that. The nice thing about the purchase from Costco is very simple. I did it all online. I purchased the tire. It said it would take 1 to 2 weeks to have the tires come in. They came in about a week, and I then scheduled at the same time, I scheduled my installation to be shortly after that. I think I had a 12:30 appointment. I showed up on time, and they said it would take about 1 to 1.5 hours. It ended up taking about 1.5 to 2 hours, but they got it done. And now I've got a new set of Michelin e.Primacy tires on my Tesla Model Y. We'll see how it goes. I hope to let you know Do I see a performance difference? Do I see an efficiency difference? Can I tell a difference in rolling resistance or in noise reduction? Those are things that I'll report on in a few weeks. The last thing I wanted to mention to you is whenever you get new tires, especially on certain vehicles like a Tesla, you want to go in the software menu and indicate that you've changed the tires, because it keeps information on that and does calibration related to your tire. Here's the steps that you need to do for a Tesla when changing tires. So the first thing you want to do is get into the menu. So you hit the lower car icon, which brings you up your menu. And then what you want to do is select your service menu. The service menu, once you take a look at that, you'll see one of the selection is wheel and tire. Select the wheel and tire, and between those two, you select tire. And what you'll get is two drop-down boxes that you've got to make selections for. One is the tire season, which I chose all season or summer because I purchased all season tires. And the second one was the service type was replacement, and I did a full set replacement. So that's what I chose there. Then I press the brake, and then it activates the reset button, and I click on that reset, and it does the recalibration. It also indicates that it says limit hard acceleration the first few minutes while it's kind of calibrating everything to your new tires. I know I did that, but that's it. Now I'm ready to go, ready to roll with my new set of tires, and we'll see how it goes. So stay tuned. But thanks for watching. I hope you learn some things in the process, and it'll help you in your evaluation and selection of tires in the future. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.